Hey ho, everybody. Welcome to another live chat. I will hopefully be featuring the brilliant Lawrence and also, as always, Samboy will be joining me for a little catch-up chat. Just waiting for them to pick up the link and join us. As you can maybe see, I don't know if you can see it just quite, it's a little bit, maybe if I move the webcam, you will see just there, look. I'm currently playing a little bit of Spider-Man, the new Marvel Spider-Man game on the PS4. So I'm currently playing that. So if you see me kind of looking over there for some reason, that's the reason. Why is the chat box up? I don't know. There we go. And Sam's
Nosy.
That's to be the fastest ever link chat thingy up ever. I don't know where I was going with that.
Well, considering that the last two times we tried, like day before yesterday, was it? And it took us like 30 minutes to try and connect.
Yeah.
Kept getting kicked out for some weird reason. So yeah, that was pretty exceptionally fast. Yeah, Google must be feeling good today. Google must be having a good day.
Probably. Yeah, it was a little bit annoying the other night. I was looking on Indeed job site, kind of just looking at the jobs, and all of a sudden the app just went down, and I thought at the time I just thought, oh, okay, just one of those things. Maybe the app's frozen. So I come out, reset my phone, still couldn't connect to the internet or anything. And then I went on my laptop thinking it might just be my phone playing up. My laptop wouldn't connect to the internet either. And then I kind of like left it for a bit, and then I started catching up on some stuff that I've got on my hard drive on my FreeSat box. And I thought I'll just watch a bit of that, catch up with that stuff. And then I put up on Facebook, I was just asking people, has anyone else had any in Hessel Hull area had any connection problems this evening? And then Tony come back to me saying he had. Apparently he must have been doing something at that time, and that was about 1 o'clock, 1:30 the other morning. Yeah, so he was up still on his internet and everything, and it dropped for him as well.
Well, it happens.
And then another thing that was weird. I know you probably know this. Hey, he's here. I think.
Hopefully, unless he's having issues again. He's trying to connect. He's trying to connect. Come on.
I like he just appears and he's just like watching our every move. I bet he's actually there really, but he's just being incognito.
Finally, Lawrence, you've connected.
Hey.
Yeah. How long have you been on for?
Not long, just literally gone.
Literally just went live about 5 minutes ago.
Right. I want to do a subject here. Let's talk ponies. I want to talk.
Okay.
Right.
What are those?
Out of interest, is anybody apart from me finished season 8? Am I doing season 8?
No.
Season 8. No one's finished season 8 apart from.
I'm quite far behind.
Right.
I'm behind by about 3 or 4 episodes.
Okay, well, no spoilers from me. This is more of a let's just say this is kind of happening in the community, and I'm curious about what you two think about the current community feedback. So basically, at the moment, season 9 has been confirmed. There is going to be a season 9. Anybody
That's good.
that MLP, at least Gen 4, is possibly heading towards its end game. Because even though I think it's going to end on season 10 and it'll end on a decade, it might go beyond that. But the only issue I see with any future seasons after season 10 would be plot and story. Because you can only keep a franchise going with fresh content. And you've got to ask yourself, how much content can they keep going that's fresh? because at the moment, from a villain perspective, the only villain that's kind of still out there is Chrysalis. I'm kind of curious about, if after her arc ends, what's next? So, any theories? How do you think it'll end? How long will it keep going? I mean, I'm considering a decade. So like I said, I think season 10 will be.
Yeah, I see. Obviously, it has been majorly successful, and and the Brony fan base. When that came along, the official Brony fan base of younger males or that liking it, to middle-aged males kind of thing. I think that will help to keep it going.
Personally, well, I've already kind of expressed my opinion a few times about this. Basically, in a nutshell, I think it will. I agree with what you say, Sam. I think we will see 10 seasons at least.
Yeah,
it's just,
wouldn't it?
I mean, it's just with everything that apparently is in the pipeline as well with Gen 4 still, where there's apparently at least another 2 movies, theatrical films as well.
Just keep in mind that officially Hasbro have not confirmed that. The official statement from Hasbro is obviously season 9's confirmed. There is a Christmas special coming out at the end of November.
Yeah,
next year, there's going to be 2 possibly 2 Equestria Girl films. However, from a film perspective, Hasbro have not officially confirmed whether or not there will be any more films. Even though, as you have said, John, they have actually signed a deal, officially they haven't confirmed or denied there's going to be any more films. Officially.
Yeah, it's just, well, apparently, I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was an official thing or not, but I remember not long after the first film came out, there was an article that went on that was, I think Equestria Daily hit on it as well, hence why I saw it. It was on Twitter. And then I think I put it on my Equestria Amino page as well. This was ages ago. This was obviously last year, some point last year. And it basically just said that Hasbro and the people that made Hasbro, Allspark, and everyone that kind of was behind the movie, and also the production company behind the film as well. I believe it was. Is it Lionsgate? Is it?
Yeah, Lionsgate. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's weird considering they're largely known for horror. It's kind of weird, isn't it?
But anyway, so apparently, I read something that Hasbro and Lionsgate and Allspark, because obviously Allspark are the animation company behind it as well. Apparently, all the companies had come together and between themselves said this was meant to be like a 5-movie deal. That could look like happening, and then they were saying that there will likely be a sequel to last year's film, which quite frankly I think there should be, because otherwise Tempest is not going to come back again. Because I was on the Friendship is Magic or whatever Friendship is fan base on Facebook. I was on that the other day, and a few people were kind of getting the wires crossed, and people were sharing stuff that isn't actually officially confirmed by Hasbro yet, and a few people were getting really pissed off with people that had pretty much kind of saying, "Oh, what do you think about these Gen 5 art style and artwork and stuff?" But that's another discussion. We're talking about something else here for the moment. But yeah, so I was on there, and I think a few people don't really. Well, no, sorry, they know where I am now. I lost my train of thought there for a moment. Right, basically, it was along the lines of Tempest Shadow, and I thought, well, I was really hoping to see Tempest again at the end of season 8, because it would have made more sense if they had to come back at the end of season 8 or at the beginning of season 9. And people were saying, well, and this guy come back with this user. I don't know if it was a guy or was it a girl. I don't know, but pretty much this user person came back and said to me, well, Tempest may not come back in the TV show because they can't afford Emily Blunt.
Yeah,
and then I said, well, yeah, that is a valid point, but I heard that they were apparently doing mass auditions for people that can like sound-alikes, impressionists. Apparently, there was like looking for auditions for people that could sound a little bit more like Emily Blunt, to kind of stand in for her, because that's what they were going to do with the other ones as well.
She's quite a big actress now, isn't she? She's quite a big actress now, isn't she, Emily Blunt?
Oh, she's been a big actress for a long time.
She's the new Mary Poppins.
Yeah, she's in the new Mary Poppins. But yeah, it's just I'm not sure really what's going to go on with that, because I'm not sure whether they're going to maybe do a second film and actually bring her back in a film, or if they're just going to kind of like, well, you saw Tempest and that's her gone, and that wouldn't really make any sense.
There is something where two things worth mentioning. One thing, literally episode 1 of season 8, Tempest is referenced, because somebody mentioned, one of the main 6 mentions Tempest, and Twilight says that she's traveling Equestria, spreading the news of the Storm King's defeat. So she is referenced. It's also worth mentioning that on the map that they have, that obviously Twilight has, it now shows the pirate ship, Clunktown, and Mount Ares, and they do go back to Mount Ares in season 8. The characters in the film that are there don't show up. They do go back to that location. So you could argue.
I think we've lost Sam.
Oh, hello. Are you still here? John?
Yeah?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
You can hear me, right? It's Sam. Where's Sam?
I think Sam's signal's dropped.
All right. As I say, they'll have to bring Tempest back in some form, won't they? Because that film is canon with the show. So.
Well, yeah, I mean,
and if she's been referenced.
Yeah, they would have to, mate. I mean, speaking of the show, there's one thing. Two things, but I won't mention that one because it's a kind of a mini spoiler. But anyway, there's one thing I want 100% for Hasbro to do. Hasbro, if you watch any videos on YouTube from Brodies, here is a fan of the show right now asking you to do, out of the many things I'd like you to do, there's one thing I'd love you to do, okay? And I've mentioned this quite a few times. I want Hasbro to do a background story for Scootaloo, because Scootaloo has no background. And come on, we're 8 seasons in and she doesn't have any background. We need a background for her character now. We need to know what her story is. You know, Apple Bloom, obviously Apple Bloom is Applejack's sister. Sweetie Belle is Rarity's sister. Then you've got Scootaloo, who is a surrogate, in a way, is Rainbow Dash's surrogate sister, but you don't know anything about her, her family, her background, her origins, nothing. And I'd love to see that in the show, because it needs that. Please, Hasbro, make it happen.
Yeah, she is certainly a character that I want more development about or for. Same with Celestia and Spike. I mean, I know Spike's starting to get a little bit more involved.
It is, yeah. Sure. The thing is, mate, the problem is Celestia will more than likely remain in the shadows, because she's the type of character in any series that just generally isn't largely focused on. My theory, I actually have a theory that the finale for MLP, whenever that'll be, will quite possibly feature Celestia turning into Daybreaker and Twilight having.
Could Luna ever become Nightmare Moon again?
That in a lot of ways raised her, and in a lot of ways is like a second mother. You know, you would literally be a very interesting episode to do that. I mean, that might be what they've got planned, because, I mean, I take stuff like this with a pinch of salt, but yesterday I was browsing through the MLP group on Facebook that we're all part of, and somebody on there was kind of claiming that he's got some friend who works for Hasbro, and he was claiming that this person had told him that apparently the MLP supposedly is going to be going up to 12 seasons. I'll take that with a pinch of salt, because a lot of people will make claims like that with no basis to back it up. I said at the moment, the only thing Hasbro have said official for MLP is 1, Season 9 is happening. 2, there is a Christmas special this year. And 3, they have confirmed there are going to be 2 Equestria Girl films next year. That's pretty much what's been confirmed for the next year. So that will be no official.
Yeah, and also at New York Comic Con, they actually announced a brand new villain.
Oh yeah, Cosmo, who Cosmos. Yeah, if you actually read
it's also quite ironic that it's also the voice of an Autobot Transformer as well.
But if you read the Art of book, the Art of the movie book, Cosmos, he's actually referenced in that book. He was going to be originally going to be the film's villain, and he was originally going to be Celestia's brother. So it's very interesting that they've confirmed.
Yeah.
So what could season 9 be about? What's going to happen in season 9 then?
I have a theory. I have a couple of theories, basically. All of a sudden, they announce at New York Comic Con a brand new villain. Brand new. And apparently he's related to Celestia. And obviously it had to be related to Luna as well, because they are sisters. Or are they sisters? Are we just led to believe they are sisters? Could they be stepsisters? That's an interesting thing as well, because apparently this Cosmos only has ties, family ties, to Celestia. It doesn't mention Luna. So that's interesting, whether because that would make sense as well, because Luna is obviously purple and Celestia is white with a blue mane and everything. So they are very, very different. So like almost as if they're 2 different species of pony.
Well, yeah, but you could argue that's purely down to the link with the sun and the moon. But
that is true.
Where are you coming from?
Yeah, but could the theory is we've been led to believe this whole time they are actually blood. They are blood sisters. You know, they are by blood. But
there's one thing which, unfortunately, we'll probably never find out, because there's one thing that got confirmed years ago, just after season 3 finished, I believe. It more or less got confirmed that one thing that the show's never ever going to address is Celestia and Luna's origins. You're never going to find out who their parents were. You know, there's nothing really mentioned in the comics either. So we might get snippets, but I doubt we'll ever find out everything about them.
Yeah, well, that's kind of annoying, really, because people want to kind of see how strong they can actually be. I mean, to be honest, you're not really seeing much of their strength, have you, really?
Again, you probably won't. It's like anything, mate. Characters like these, they tend to be kind of not so much featured. I mean, the thing that's worth mentioning is out of Celestia and Luna technically has more show appearances. you actually know more about Luna than you do about Celestia, which is, worth mentioning. You don't really know anything about Celestia's abilities. You know more about Luna's abilities than you do Celestia's abilities, which has led a lot of people to hypothesize that Luna might actually be stronger than Celestia.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, it's kind of interesting of where we don't know at the moment. Hasbro are purposely, I think, planning something big. They're going to drop something big next year, I think. Hence why there's been barely any official announcements, except for New York Comic Con, this new villain. And apparently they didn't really have much of a panel at New York Comic Con for MLP either, and they usually do. Apparently it was more like a presentation, like a Hasbro booth presentation, or it's like a type of presentation Hasbro did themselves. And apparently at New York Comic Con, like I said, this year, they announced Cosmos. And so apparently, like I said a moment ago, Cosmos is going to be apparently related to maybe the brother of Celestia. So that's going to be really interesting, and obviously going to be a villain. So I'm guessing he's not very good. He's a bad character. Obviously, hence villain. So could he be the main guy in season 9 ender or beginner, or will he likely be possibly the further go up against in the movie? And will we finally see a little bit more of the power of Celestia and Luna in a movie format? Because you could do more and branch out more in a movie format than you could in the series, because by how it seems to work with MLP, it looks like the series has to be a certain dynamic. The TV show, obviously, they don't have movie budget for the TV show. I get that. But if you noticed the TV show, I mean, I'm not dissing it. I love the show, but the show itself is a lot more simple, but yet still has the glimmer that we all really respect about it. It still has that in the show, but when you go to the movie, the movie can go a lot more in depth. Obviously, the animation style was a bit more nicer looking, and obviously they really went to the nines and brought in new characters and everything, and also brought in big name actual screen actors to voice these new ponies and new characters. So the thing is with me is that what is going to happen, because obviously Hasbro are purposely digging their heels in. This is top secret stuff that they don't want to let anybody know until I don't think we're going to find out HasCon next year.
Here we are. I don't know how well you'll be able to see this, but this is from the Art of book, and this is early concept art for Cosmos. See whether or not you can see it.
Yeah, he's completely different now, though.
Yeah, I know. I've seen the pictures, but that's basically early concept art. So as I said, he's in the Art of book.
Yeah, basically. Well, I'm not going to repeat myself again because I've already kind of gone down this a couple of times now. But it's just kind of going back onto the question Sam was specifically asking to begin with. I personally think, and I've said this a few times, I can't see 10 seasons being the last season. Even though at the same time I would accept a 10th season to make it.
I would actually like them to end it on a 10th season, because the thing that worries me, I don't want MLP to turn into one of these shows where by like season 12
where it's overdone to the point where they run out of good ideas, kind of thing.
Something's going on again.
Yeah. I still need to highly catch up on MLP. I need to get on somewhere I can watch season 6 to 8. I've seen all 1 to 5.
To be honest, I'm a bit behind in it as well. I'm on season 8, but about 3 or 4 episodes. How many episodes would that be? I think I'm maybe about 4 or 5 episodes behind on season 8, and I've just not got around to watching it because the problem is I had to watch them on the Daily Motion or one of these really crappy sites that you got to really watch because of bloody ad blocks and things like that. You end up getting viruses on it and stuff like that. So I'm having to kind of search for the episodes, and I think it's because of having to search for the episodes I can't really be asked to watch them at the moment because everything else is really easy to find. But there we go, you're back.
Well, this is what I purchased today, this Digimon Tamers box set. It was a real shock seeing that because season 1 and 2 came out in the UK like 2 years ago, and I've been waiting for this one for ages. So this evening I sat and watched the first
season 5.
Yeah, I sat and watched the first 7 episodes of Digimon Tamers.
Tamers is awesome. When it first came out, you know what's really ironic, right? When Tamers came out, I loved it instantly. Because obviously when it came out, when did it come out? Let me check the info. Come on, internet, you can do it.
It wasn't it 2000 season 1 of Digimon actually came out? No, was it 1999?
It was.
So I seem to remember it coming to in 1999, the first season of Adventure.
I think Adventure 1 came out in 98, and then 99 was Adventure 2. Then Tamers came out in 2001. The first episode aired in April 2001.
That's what I sort of remember.
Because Tamers went on. Tamers was aired on Jetix, and the original Digimon series. Yeah, and the original Digimon series was aired on Fox Kids. And that's why I'm old now. I remember it all. I'm still an old, I'm starting to go bald, and now I'm old. I remember it. But anyway, so yeah, I mean, like I said, I was 12, almost 12 when Tamers came out originally. So I mean, I enjoyed it because I was the demo. I'm in the demographic for it.
Yeah, I agree as well. It was a good. But clearly, until this point, we'd try. They haven't been able to continue the adventure storyline till now. But that was a good way to kind of go a different direction.
It was. I mean, the thing is, the reason why Adventure 2 happened anyways was because apparently, according to, I mean, obviously, me and Sam also knows about this. Apparently, Adventure 2 is literally just additional story and characters and plot that was either cut from the original season, the original Adventure 1. They had to cut it down because they couldn't afford to add these new characters and add this, add the story. So what they did is that they, after Adventure 1, and it did really well for them, they then said, right, okay, why don't we try and make another series based on a whole new load of Digidestins that we couldn't that we couldn't afford to do in the first season. So essentially, Adventure 2 is a Frankenstein of a series which got massive loopholes because a lot of it, the continuity of the series isn't all there. There's massive gaps in story and continuity between episodes, and but for me personally, I love season 2, regardless of it being a Frankenstein series. That's what I call it, because it's mixed match of different things.
I think the 3 main story plots it has. First, you have the Emperor, and then you have like Ken's redemption with Aro Kenimon. And then the third act is when when it goes back to the real world, and it turns out the whole thing with Malomeo just went inside Oikawa, and it leads up to the climax with Malomeo revealing himself.
Well, yeah. I mean, to be honest with you, I just love Digimon as a whole. I mean, yeah, there's been some interesting
My opinion
takes on it.
Yeah, but I think the Digimon video games are good, but openly I'd say I think the Pokemon games are better. Whilst for a TV series, Digimon is a far superior television show.
Yeah,
the Pokemon series.
I kind of agree with that, and I know Sam probably won't, because I don't think Sam's really played many Pokemon games. He never really got into the scene when it was big, and he's gone again. Basically, while Sam's kind of loading, because obviously Sam remembers Pokemon, but he never really got into it. Oh, he's back. Seriously, he's like gone. Hello, I'm back. Go, I'm back. Gone. Bye. I've not gone yet. And we live in the same area. We live like 10 minutes away. Well, it's not my fault. I actually live right next door to the main signal box anyway. Literally, it's at the top of my street, the signal box. So that's why I get a stronger signal, I think. But anyway, so like I was saying before you went off, Sam, me and Lawrence were talking about the Pokemon games and why Lawrence said that the Pokemon games are probably better than the Digimon games. And pretty much, I kind of agree with that. I mean, I know Sam doesn't really know much about the Pokemon games. I mean, he knows of them, but he never really got into the scene. But I did. I got into the trading cards, and I also played a bit of Red and Blue Pokemon games, which came out at the time when I was at primary school. And then, I mean, for me, I think Pokemon's had a bit more of a pretty cool time of things when it comes to their games. Even though the games were 8-bit and everything, but they are iconic and really well done. They're really good games. But then the Digimon games, so the Digimon games came out, the whole Digimon thing came from a Tamagotchi. The whole Tamagotchi thing. The whole Tamagotchi thing is what started the Digimon thing. Well, it wasn't called,
was it called a digital monster?
Yeah, well, it was kind of. It wasn't a Tamagotchi, but it was kind of at the basis of a Tamagotchi.
Yeah. Wasn't it basically like a Digimon with a pet as the digital monster? I think that's what it's called, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You all right, Sam? Can you hear us?
It's gone again.
Sam, come in.
Hello, Earth. Calling Earth. Yes, the moon base too. Yes, the moon base too.
Sam, can you hear us?
I can't. You keep breaking up on me. Then everything freezes, and then I get kind of like kicked out and then back in again. I don't know what's happening.
Oh, yeah, we're talking about Digimon and kind of Digimon and Pokemon.
Digimon came before Pokemon. Just pointing that out, because back at school, everybody said Digimon ripped off Pokemon. It didn't. Digimon was.
No, Digimon was around. Was it the digital monster pet it was based on? That came out before the Pokemon Pocket Monster thing.
4 years before Pokemon.
Yeah, it started out as like a Tamagotchi game thing, and then it kind of morphed from that to a manga, and then from that in Japan they made the anime to the manga, but obviously there's a massive difference with the story of the manga to the anime. So I actually need to check the manga out. Actually, I've not read any manga for any of it. Actually, I've read a little bit of the first volume of Pokemon on manga form, which is interesting. The story and the characters is way different compared to the anime itself. Because I think for an anime they had to really branch it out and Also, they kind of renamed a lot of the characters as well for international audiences. Like Tai is actually called Tai Chi.
Yeah.
And I think Kari is called Hikari.
Yeah.
Some of the Digimon names are completely different as well. I've been watching the Japanese, the pure raw Japanese dub. And a lot of the names are completely different. The Digimon names are very, very different.
Are you watching them online, or can you get the DVDs, or?
That's the 50th anniversary box set. It's all.
You get that?
I got it straight from Japan, mate. I had it shipped in straight from Japan.
Yeah.
That's the full box.
Yeah.
It's got loads of stuff in it, actually. It's like absolutely crammed full of stuff. I've also got the 20th anniversary film set, again, straight from Japan. That's all the films, all Digimon films.
All the films?
Yeah, all of them. Every single one. It's 1999 to 2006. That's all the films in that box set.
Does it also?
Has that got? Is it? They have like all the characters cross dimensions, like 'cause you have all the leaders, like you have Tai, Davis, Takato, and the one obviously the Frontier leader. I'm not so familiar with Frontier and Sabers because I never watched that much of them. Because originally I think it was cancelled in the UK before Frontier due to air, even though I do remember all the toys came out in the UK.
Frontier, in my opinion, Frontier is the weakest series because it gets very, very boring at the end. Like the last 20 episodes, it's just the same thing in repeat, and the ending makes zero sense. It's not really an ending. It doesn't really end. It just kind of feels kind of like, it feels like it was cut short. Like for whatever reason, the series doesn't really have an ending. It's not. I mean, I've never been a fan of Data Squad, but I never really watched it. But I would say that Tamers is the weakest.
Oh, yeah, Sabers, then Data Squad. Digimon Sabers and then Digimon Data Squad.
Yeah, then after Data Squad, it's Cross Wars, which I've heard is very, very good. And I really want to get the DVDs for that. Then the new one.
And then obviously you had Fusion, which is the recent series.
Yeah, well, Fusion is Cross Wars, which was renamed. There's a new series coming out next year called Digimon Happy Monsters, and basically the Digimon live inside smartphones. Effectively, they're apps. Basically, that's kind of like the new thing. The ironic thing is, Lawrence, that the box sets that they're releasing now for Digimon have been out for quite a few years. They've been out for almost 5 years, but they were American. That have been transferred over to the UK. Both me and John have got the American exclusive box sets, which is basically what you've been collecting, but separately. We've got the full thing.
Yeah, it wasn't last year, but the year before that season 1 and 2 came out. Season 1 pretty much came out. Then it was about a month later. Season 2 then turned up, but then last year. I've been keeping my eye out. Every time I go to HMV, I've just been nipping to the anime section every time, just to see if it's possibly there, if Tamers was there. And like, I'll begin to wonder, maybe, I don't know, they're just releasing Adventure 1 and 2, the classics. And then I went in today, I was in Northampton with a friend, and I happened to go into HMV. I just poked my head around the anime corner, and at Tamers, finally, the first thing I see, 2 years after the release of Adventure 1 and 2. So I don't know if this means that Frontier might be released before Christmas, or
they might do. I mean, I know they're gonna. They'll probably release up to Well, they might actually release up. No, they'll release up to Data Squad because I know Data Squad will probably be included, but I've no idea if Cross Wars will, which is Frontier for us. I've no idea. The certain anime series I've got where they've never actually completed the run. Hellsing Ultimate, for example. Hellsing Ultimate in the UK, they only released the first 8 parts of it. Parts 9 and 10 you can only get from import from America. They never, for some reason, get a release on the final part. But yeah, they'll probably release up to Data Squad, I reckon. I'm hoping they do Cross Wars because I really want to get Cross Wars. I mean, I could get it. I can ship it to America, but it won't be cheap. It'll be cheaper to ship just to buy it.
Digimon, yeah. And Digimon Tri-Part 6 is coming out in December here, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's the 14th or 15th of December.
Yeah.
Like literally just before Christmas. Practically 10 days before Christmas, effectively.
Yeah, I mean, I can't wait for it because I've really enjoyed watching Digimon Tri.
I have.
Yeah, they're interesting. I mean, to be honest, I think I've enjoyed them. It's just great to see the characters back older. But it's just the whole what's going on with Davis and your lead. You kind of see in the first film that something happens to them, and then they've never been spoken about since.
True. I'm hoping that gets resolved in the final part.
So the whole Ken thing. Well, wasn't actually Ken, but Ken's in it. So it's not actually Ken, but the referencing Ken.
Yeah.
So, and Ken's one of the second generation of the Digestion.
Yeah, I was thinking though. I do remember Davis and Yoli being mentioned. I think is it part 6 that some of the season 2 characters are due to appear?
It's what I've heard. Although they have confirmed there's going to be another film, like another standalone film, and I think next year or the year after, it's going to finish it all off. But it's going to be set so many years after Tri, and it'll be the main characters again, but they'll all be in like their early 20s. It's going to be the finale for basically for like Digimon Adventure 1. It's how it's all going to end. Because technically, Tri is the official sequel to Adventure 1, whereas Adventure 2, this is the thing, as John said, Adventure 2 is made up of lots of different plots, and part of the plot for 2 is effectively the sequel story for the Adventure 1 characters, because about halfway through Adventure 2, they show up, and it focuses heavily on them. And you can kind of see that at a certain point in Adventure 2, it's no longer about the new Digidestin, it's about the old Digidestin, and it does kind of get a bit weird. But Tri is the official kind of next part, and then there's going to be this final film that's coming out, like I said, in about 2 years, which is going to be the ending for it all. So that's pretty much how it's going to go. Yeah. John's playing Spider-Man.
Yeah, I failed.
You just crash into a building or something.
No, I was having to pursue some guy that kind of pounced out of a building window.
Oh, so somebody died.
Some guy, yeah.
Spider-Man, help me! It's just like.
Is this new? I've heard awesome things about this Spider-Man game for PS4. I've not yet got it because I just, I'll have to wait till I've got a bit more spare cash before I can purchase it. But,
well, I bought it before I went away to Benidorm. I literally bought it, kept it secret from my dad, and I quietly paid it all off when I got home. So. I mean, like I say, there's loads of stuff I want to get my hands on. Deadpool 2, Infinity War. There's a few films I want to get my hands on. There's also I want to get my hands on the new COD as well. The only problem is a lot of the good stuff on COD. I think you've got to freaking pay to play it.
I mean, I'm interested in the new COD game myself. I mean, I haven't bought one for quite a while, but this one generally looks interesting. The only thing is for some reason, it's the first Call of Duty that is not on PC. It is still on PC, but it's on a completely different platform. It's the first one to not be on Steam. It's on something called Battleforge, which is just basically like another platform similar to Steam. But yeah, I am interested. But I might wait till next year, and I might give it a few months because there's two games I want to get hold of. One of them I'm already pre-ordered. It's out at the end of November, and that's Fallout 76. And then the next game I want to get hold of is in January, and that's the new Doom Eternal.
Yeah, I
Oh,
want
yeah.
to get. I want to get Doom. I want to get Doom 2, and I want to get. Well, to be honest,
When's Doom coming out?
Yeah, it's January.
All right.
26th
Yeah.
January. I think.
Yeah.
I want to get Doom 2.
I
My
might ask
God.
for that for
You know, I've not actually completed the first Doom yet because every time
I'm stuck on boss number 2. I've been stuck on boss 2 for months.
well, no, the reason why I've not actually got to boss 2. I've not even got to boss 1 yet.
There's 4
Because
bosses,
whenever,
by the way.
huh?
There's 4 bosses.
Well, I've not actually got to boss 1 yet. Well, no, actually, no. I think I battled the first boss once, but every time I go back to it to restart from the beginning and right, okay, I'm gonna do it this time. I'm gonna try and get through this game this time. The soundtrack, the metal soundtrack, takes over my brain. I start headbanging, and then I start destroying demons, and then forget what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah, but it's all. Yeah, if you're at the first boss, mate, you'll remain on the first boss until you beat him.
Yeah, I know, but the problem is with my PlayStation is it's a 60 gig, and whenever I get a new game, I sometimes have to get rid of a game that's on my hard drive in order to play the damn thing. So sometimes Doom's
bloody hell, mate! I've got like 3.5 terabytes worth of storage.
well, my PS4 is the first generation one, but I wanna upgrade to the 1 terabyte hard drive.
You are aware you can actually use external hard drives on PlayStations.
I know, but I want to get the I want to upgrade to the PS4 Pro because it's actually better. It's got a faster processor and everything.
It's got a slightly faster processor. Seriously, mate. If you want to buy it for speed, don't bother. I'm serious. The PS4 Pro is a bit of a con. It's only slightly faster than the normal PS4. You're not getting a lot for the money. You could upgrade your normal PS4 hard drive very easily to a 1 terabyte.
Yeah,
seriously, the PS4 Pro, it is not that much of an improvement over the PS4. It really it's only slightly faster.
Well, no, I see where you're coming from. It's not like massively faster. It is a little bit faster. It's just the reason why is that a lot of the new games are a little bit too much for my PS4 to handle because I've noticed I'm getting a bit of frame rate issues, and that usually happens when a game's not, when the system's only just good enough to play it. So I mean, I've not got a 4K TV, so it's kind of a waste of money me getting it now because, quite frankly, I mean, I could get myself a PS4 Pro, and they're really quite cheap now. They're like under 300 quid now, 250 to 300 quid. And then if I wanted to get a game with it as a bundle, I'm looking at about £300 of a game with a new game. And obviously, I would sell I would get rid of my other PS4 anyway because I don't have any more room. So, but yeah, I mean, it served me well, the PS4 that I've got. I mean, I've had it. The one I've got is the first generation, the original PS4 that came out, and then when I was looking for one for my birthday, I couldn't find a 60 gig anywhere. And 60 gig was the main one because obviously it had a bigger hard drive at the time. And I was looking all over the place for it, and then all of a sudden, stupidly, Sony recalled the 60 gig and replaced it with a 40 gig. So the only PS4s that was actually on sale was a 40 gig, and I thought, I ain't paying money out for a 40 gig bloody thing. That's only about maybe 3 games in length. And the way games are going, especially now, I mean, literally, I've got probably installed on my system, I've probably got about 5 games installed already on my PS4 as it is. Then
this is the thing. PC was doing 1 terabyte hard drives 10 years ago. The fact that PlayStation never went that way, by rights, the PlayStation 4 on release should have had a 1 terabyte hard drive as standard.
It should have done, but they didn't. And plus, don't forget, Sam, if you remember, they had a lot of problems before it came out.
Yeah, because when they released it a week early, and it needed a patch to actually run. And that patch meant that without it being there, the PlayStation didn't work. I know, because when it got released, I was working at Argos. And the amount of people that called up, my PlayStation ain't working, Argos should fix it. And I was like, mate, it's Sony. Speak to them. They're the reason why it ain't working. Nothing to do with Argos. We don't manufacture the bloody things. But seriously, Sony released it a week ahead of schedule to combat Xbox's release. It wasn't ready. It needed a patch for it to work.
True.
But you know, seriously, mate, you're free. To be fair, there's the frame rate on a game isn't necessarily got anything to do with the system. You are aware you can tinker with the frame rate settings, right? Even on a PlayStation.
Oh yeah, I know you can. It's just I don't know what it is. It's just apparently a lot of the new games, like the brand new ones that have been encoded with 4K graphics.
You are aware that there's no such thing as 4K graphics, right? You are aware that 4K graphics it doesn't exist. When you state 4K, they normally mean you're only going to see it with a 4K monitor. Most games will run in full HD, but 4K graphics doesn't really exist yet. We're kind of getting there, but the only 4K graphics card that actually exists is the GTX 1080, and that can only run a single GTX 1080 can only run a 4K game at maximum power for 15 minutes before it burns itself out. To actually have any sort of long-term effect, you've got to have two of them, and that equals 24 gig of video memory. I mean, short version, mate. Sorry. I dozed off. 4K resolution isn't even around fully yet. But like I said, you get a PS4 Pro, mate, you won't see a lot of difference because they are that much faster than a normal PlayStation. They aren't. Get a PC, mate. Get a gaming PC. like man. Get like man.
Nah, I'm a console gamer.
PC is the future. PC led the way. PC was the start of it all.
True, but how come consoles are much more thought after?
Because they've been marketed that way.
No. Because you simply put in the goddamn disc. In the good old days, you put the disc in, you play it to your heart's content.
Wait, you don't do that anymore. Do you on new consoles? You actually have to go ahead and install them and download them.
Now you do. Now you do. I used to love the whole cartridge in the PS1 and the PS2. Just put the game in, play to your heart's content. Oh, put the cartridge in, play to your heart's content. There's no such thing as a patch. There was no such thing as updates back then.
Well, there were updates. They came on discs. You could buy them. They come on discs. The thing is, you need them now more than ever because games are getting more and more advanced and they're getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and there's more to go wrong with them. Why get these days and more updates? Like 25 years ago, none of that mattered because the games weren't very big. The average game 25 years ago was 100 megabytes. Nowadays, nowadays you get games at like 90 gig.
True. Well, to be honest, this Red Dead Redemption 2 game that's coming out apparently is going to have 2 discs.
Oh my lord!
It's going to have 2 discs, which means I think it's going to be the biggest game file ever because that is. It's been a while. I mean, it's not the first game to have 2 discs. I'm aware there's been quite a few that's either had maybe 1 or 2 floppy disks in order to install the game. Back in the day, floppy disk. And also there's been obviously other games that have actually had 2 discs in order to install it. So one had the drivers on and one had the game on it, stuff like that. But apparently Red Dead Redemption is going to be a massive open world game that is going to have the capabilities. Because apparently, if you heard the controversy what's been going on with the people behind the game,
No.
Or Rockstar.
Rockstar, yeah. Have you heard the controversy? Apparently, I don't know if it's true, but it was
Whoa.
Sammy. Apparently, Sammy and a few people actually mentioned. Apparently, the people that is developing and making the game have been putting in over 100+ hours each. Over 100 hours to develop this game. Over 100 hours a week to put into this game. And people are like, well, okay, this is kind of illegal. I hope they're going to get compensated for this. And there's a bit of controversy whether they actually got paid for the hours they actually put in, these people that made the game, because it's an incredible endeavor. I mean, apparently, I've not really played much of the first Red Dead Redemption. I tried to on the PlayStation, put on the PSN network. They had the first one. I downloaded it, but my internet speed wasn't very good, and it kept freezing. And every time I tried to like go somewhere, it would glitch, and then like but whatever I was doing, I'd end up going a different direction for some reason. It kind of kept glitching because the speed wasn't very good.
Yeah, you'll need to upgrade to a PS4 Pro if you want to play it. Purely because of how much hard disk space. I just had a look. 100 gig.
Well, I've got an Xbox One, so
that makes it the biggest game on hard disk. The only other game I know that's close to that is Final Fantasy 12. That's 90 gig. So that makes that the biggest, or memory capacity, the biggest game.
Yeah, because I've heard a lot about it. I've heard like there's a bit of controversy. Apparently the people making the game, they put in like over 100 hours of labor into the game to make it what it is. And then I found out when they announced that it's actually going to have 2 discs in order to install. I mean, like I said, I won't be able to run it. I mean, obviously my PlayStation's 60 gig hard drive, so I'm going to have to not get it until I get a job, but I can save my money up and I can maybe get upgrade. I do know you can. Well, to be honest, I don't have to. I could just get myself an external hard drive that works with a PS4. That's well, I think they're all compatible to a certain extent. But I'd have to get myself a hard drive anyway. I mean, I could upgrade to like a 1 or 2 terabyte hard drive for the one that I've got now and just swap out the hard drive inside for a large capacity one. And then I don't have to really worry about upgrading it. I mean, that would be a cheaper alternative, just to simply upgrade the hard drive space from 60 to 2 terabyte. Because I know you can, well, so apparently Sony are starting to sell 2 terabyte hard drives that are actually got a Sony brand on them. But obviously, with it being a Sony brand, you'd be
yeah, they're extremely overpriced. You can literally buy the same external hard drive for like 20 quid, and it's 20 quid because it doesn't have Sony written on it. I'm serious, mate. Like literally, 2 external hard drives sitting right here. One of them looks exactly like the Sony one, apart from the fact that it doesn't have Sony written on it. And that Sony one's like 40 quid more than the one I bought.
Well, I'll see how things go. I mean, at the moment, everything's on hold. I can't afford to do anything. Plans for next year is a little bit sketchy.
Right. Plans for next year. You're saying that there's something I want to discuss. Okay.
What?
I just want to bring it up because I really want to just mention it. Right. PonyCon.
Yeah.
Anybody interested? Because I generally want to do PonyCon next year because I've never done a BronyCon and I really want to do one. And I know it's Nottingham.
Right, and is it just this day one? You were talking
2 days. It's a full weekend. It's basically the UK's biggest pony convention. It's been running for 15 years.
Right. So is it just for 2 days then?
Yeah, it's in Nottingham.
It's just a weekend event.
Yeah. So like TFN then?
Yeah, pretty much, but ponies. I'm generally wanting to do it. It's in October next year. I don't know the dates yet for next year, but they've just had 2018 one.
To do that, are you still planning to do TFN as well?
Oh yeah, I've got TFN booked. The time I've got the TF Nation time booked. I'm literally got the hotel money sorted, so I'm practically ready for it.
To be honest with you guys, I really don't know whether I can or not yet. To be honest, I haven't been screwed over. I thought I'd been screwed over by Dole Office, but I haven't. It's just the last payment I got last week. I only got 170 quid for the entire month. And I looked into it and I thought, well, I should have got 300 because they said I should get over 300, just over £300 a month of my benefit that I should be getting from them. But I got roughly about half of it. So on an investigation, it's obviously I didn't get any money the first month. The first month when I signed of me signing on, I got nothing because obviously that was because my last pay slip from work, and then I actually got paid a little bit extra before my benefit came in, before I got paid my second month benefit. So the sneaky sods took money off me because I got a little extra from Asda, which was I think probably a little bit extra on top of my my monthly wage, and then so I'm kind of hoping when I get paid again in 3 weeks' time, when I get my next pay, I'll have the full amount. Hopefully, I won't have any extra cash coming in from anywhere because, quite frankly, I'm well and truly gone now from Asda. There's no outgoing payments yet to come in my way or anything like that, unless I get a tax rebate, because I have paid tax. I have paid quite a bit of tax over the past, the last year of me working at Asda. I started paying tax. I wasn't paying tax for quite a while, and then all of a sudden, I started paying tax monthly because of I don't know why, but I started paying tax. So unless I get a tax rebate in the next couple of months, then obviously that will come off my benefit. But yeah, in the meantime, kind of until either a job's on the horizon and I can start getting some money coming in, so I can actually start saving a little bit on the side, so I kind of can put money away.
Have you heard about that job yet, mate, with Wingfield? Wingfield.
Nope.
No. I don't want to sound negative, mate, but it's been, 3 weeks?
It's about 2.5 weeks now, nearly 3 weeks.
Negative, but if you haven't heard anything by Wednesday next week, I'd probably say you've not got it. Not to sound negative.
I don't think I have got it, mate. I personally think they lied to my face.
Well, no. I don't think that's it. Mate, don't take it like that. The thing is, when I was unemployed, last time I was unemployed, and I've had that. I've been there, mate. It's very common for employers to never get back to you. I mean, the rule of thumb is normally if you haven't had anything within 2 weeks of an interview, normally means you haven't got the job. It's normally what it means. I mean, I'd say if you haven't had anything by Wednesday next week, I'd probably say you very likely haven't been successful. Not to sound negative, mate. Just...
No. I know where you're coming from. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I've already kind of put one on one together. I don't think I've got it because they've apparently on their system when I went in last for my check for my to sign in or sign on or whatever. They basically said they started the assessment stage. So I'm kind of guessing they didn't go for me because
you might hear something this week, but like I said, give it a week.
Not had anything because whenever we go out, we have the phone machine on. So if anyone wants to leave a message, they can do. When we've come in, my dad always checks the phone for any missed calls. And my dad said there's been no random phone numbers or anything. So
yeah, I think have you had some more interviews recently then,
Nope. It's been quiet for a while now. My last.
So I've had 2 interviews for 2 Christmas vacancies, both of which I think went well. I got good feedback from one of them. Didn't end up getting the job, but I'm booked. My job centre advisor's off this week, and there's no one to cover for us. I've had to book an appointment to go in next Tuesday, so might be going. We have to go back in for another week. So,
Lawrence.
Yeah.
The problem is, lads, the way things are job-wise, if you've not got any success by, I'd say, mid-November, you practically after that, you're really going to be looking at January onwards, really, because most employers tend to stop, Christmas-wise, tend to stop looking by about mid-November. I mean, some retail places might be offering December, but normally that's maybe just a month just to cover Christmas in itself. John, didn't you mention you'd sent off to Primark the other week?
Yep, I've applied to Primark and not had anything from them.
Well, you might hear something in the next couple of days, because we have literally, as of this week, we've taken on about 4 or 5 Christmas temps. So you might hear something, because we'll still be looking for people, because we need the extra staff. So you may hear something in the next week. So just keep your ears up. You might hear something.
No, just to be honest with you,
I don't know how it works. I'll have to look into it, but I can recommend you. Primark does have a system where employees can recommend friends effectively. I don't know how it works. I might have to ask, but I can effectively recommend you. But I don't know how it works. I don't know if me recommending you would work in your favour, or if it would just mean, I don't know, because I have no idea how it actually works.
well, it probably won't work knowing you, Sam. You probably say, there's a guy called John Knowles that's apparently put in application. I know him. He's an arsehole. Don't employ him.
Yeah, don't employ him. Don't employ him. He'll follow around all the ladies, and be generally be creepy. And
he likes to have fun.
Don't hire him. He's a total menace. You've no idea what he does to slippers. It's menace.
He likes to have fun in the lingerie department.
I'll look into it, mate, for you. I don't know how it works, but I'll ask somebody tomorrow if anyone knows how it works, because I don't know. I'm not sure if it means they will take your application into consideration if I act as like a third-party reference, maybe, but I don't quite know how it works.
To be honest,
like I said, I know I can effectively put you forward, but I don't know how the system works.
I mean, to be honest, I really don't know why you've not been. I mean, I was expecting not to be. I kind of thought by now I probably might have got myself another job by now, because I mean, most of the jobs I've applied for have been mainly customer service and shop related, just as a stopgap until I can get something a bit more beneficial. But I've just been rejected from like Iceland and B&M, and I'm like, hello, I've got 9 years of experience in shops. I know how it works. I've got cash handling experience. What more do you want? It's kind of pissing me off a little bit. I'm qualified to work in a shop. I've got experience. I've got references that will say I used to work for said place anyway. So it don't make any sense.
I was when I got redundant last year. I was in 6 months. I actually trying to think why was I not getting any job opportunities, because you do think to yourself, I mean, I've been at Argos for 4 years. You'd think that it'd be easy. In your case, you've got nearly 9 years experience in retail. By rights, you shouldn't be having problems getting back into work.
I shouldn't, but to be honest, I'm not sure if anyone has I don't know. Well, they're not allowed to really do this per se, because essentially they've got to give you a chance to get another job. yeah, okay, I was let go. I was fired from my last job, but they've got to honour and they've got to give you a fair and non-biased reference when another employer, approaches them, whatever the case may be. But it's kind of annoying me. I mean, I've got. Well, it wasn't quite 9 years. It'd be 9 years if I was still there. It'd be 9 years.
I've had various different work experiences over the years, including almost 3 years in admin. Several different sort of jobs in retail. But obviously, I have the barrier of a slight physical disability, which is definitely something that the employers can see when they first see me. So, I mean, I go in for interviews, and I've had like other employers call me back and say, oh, you interviewed really well. We hope you find something soon.
Yeah. Well,
I'll have a look for you, mate. Actually, I'll have a look to see how it works.
I mean, I've not had that much feedback either. I've had a couple of messages saying, unfortunately, you haven't been successful this time, but we'll keep your details on file for a future vacancy with us. And I've had a couple of those, which is just an automatic response, but I haven't had any phone calls or emails. Like somebody's actually typed it out or actually picked up a phone to ring me. I've not had anything like that at all, except for one, which was on my mobile phone about just before I went to Benidorm, about a week before. I got a phone call randomly in the afternoon, and it was I think it was Sewell, and it was like, I think it might have been like a petrol station retailer or something. Somewhere down, I can't remember. It was around here, around about, well, in our area anyway. And they got in contact with me, just asking me how many hours I was looking for and what kind of how many hours a week and things like that. And I pretty much just said to this woman, she was real nice, and I just said, well, personally, I was either looking for either full or part. My last employment, I was working just over 30 hours a week. So I was looking for roughly around about the same hours a week, and also kind of, full-time or part-time employment. That's kind of where I'm at the moment. And then she said, oh, well, unfortunately, we've only got about 17 hours at the moment, which is 3 days a week. That's the only hours we can give at the moment. And I was just like, well, thank you very much, but that's just, I mean, I can't remember whereabouts it was, but I would have to get there via car, and essentially I'm wasting petrol just for like 3-hour shifts. It's like 3-hour shifts, and I think it added up to about 16, 17 hours a week. And I thought, that's less than what I started on at Asda, because I started at 18 hours, then I moved up to 21 and a half, and then I went up to 31 hours from, and then that was what I was up to me leaving. So it's very difficult to find work in retail that's over 20 hours at the moment, because everything's been 20 or under. But I understand that.
If you get 20, you're lucky. Tony's been for 4 years now. He's been on 12.
Really?
Yeah, he was on stream last night. He's been working at Entertainer for 4 or 5 years. So he's been on 12 hours. He's not increasing. He's been at 12 hours, and he's trying to get an increase, but it's not happening. But seriously, you are lucky in a way to get 20 hours in retail, because even though retail's the biggest employer in the UK, then they don't provide the best hours. I don't know why that is. They just don't.
I mean, to be honest, I'm just gonna keep looking. That's all I can do at the moment. But to be honest, I'm not looking. I don't think I'm gonna be. I don't think I'm gonna be able to get. Let me rephrase myself. I don't think I'll get a job this year, because literally there's only about 2 and a bit weeks. Sorry, 2 and a bit months left of this month of this year. So I think I might maybe get a job beginning of next year, New Year. I think I might be a bit more beneficial then, because
based on that,
Christmas temps leaving, so there'll be a lot of vacancies popping up about January. Hopefully.
Well, yeah, in my case, I have actually been recommended by my sport charity potentially to consider, leaving retail behind and trying to find ways in another work environment. The other thing I've had big experience in is IT.
Yeah. Someone called Big Time Eaters wants us to say Big Time Eaters. So say Big Time Eaters, people.
Big Time Eaters.
Time Eaters.
There you go. So I've just done it. There you go.
If you're interested, mate, they are looking for drivers for the co-op.
Yeah, I've looked at that. I've seen those going on Indeed and everything. To be honest with you, mate, I've looked at so many jobs and applied for so many. It's getting to the point now where I'm overlooking the same job multiple times in the list.
Oh, yeah. The best thing I could give, the one thing you've got to be careful of is try and stick to no more than 2 job search sites if you can help it, because one of the things I struggled with when I was last unemployed was a lot of job search sites tend to have the same jobs but tend to maybe rename them, so you can end up applying for the same job 4 times but you're not realizing it because they might rename it slightly on another job site. You just got to be careful, double check the address or the business or where it's located. Just make sure that it isn't similar to another job you've applied to, because you can have instances where they'll have the job advertised on multiple platforms, but they might alter its wording slightly, and so you can end up applying for it 2 or 3 times. Can't remember what website it is, but there's a website that's pointless. You need to stay away from it because everything on there is out of date. They don't seem to update anything. I can't remember what it's called.
Yeah, the only one I tend to use is I mainly tend to use Indeed, or in other cases I get emails from my job centre advisor for vacancies she's found for me. Speaking of work, one thing I'd never recommend doing is work with actual agencies where you just get sent to a place but you're brought an agency. Because my friend, he found a 12-week contract working with an agency in a factory here in our hometown, and he was on a 12-week trial before they decide whether or not they could, keep him. And he started yesterday. He didn't even make it past his. He barely had an hour's actual work before they let him go.
That's not good.
Well, we'll just see how it goes. I'm trying to not be disheartened and trying not to let it get the better of me. Because obviously last time I was out of work for nearly 3 years out of finishing college, and but at the time of that was when the big credit crunch hit, and a lot of businesses and smaller independent businesses started to close up shop due to can't afford it. Also went in liquidation and things, so that a lot of businesses got really badly hit.
I think what opened a lot of our eyes to just how serious the situation was that we lost Woolworths first, and that that was one of the UK's biggest retailers. And the fact that they couldn't afford to keep going, I think that came as a real sort of shock of reality.
Yeah, and it killed Woolworths as well.
What's that?
It killed Woolworths as well.
Yeah.
You don't know Woolworths?
I'm trying to think. Woolworths.
Woolworths.
I know
It was
Woolworths.
everywhere.
I used to go. I mean, I used to do. That's where I used to do all my shopping when I was like a kid and a teenager.
Yeah,
I
that
used to do
place.
all my shopping in practice.
Yeah, that was also a that also went out of business because of the credit crunch as well. But I found out something interesting though. Apparently, the guy who owned Woolworths did a very, very clever thing. Apparently, if you notice, pretty much where there used to be a Woolies, so what we called it Woolies here in Hull. I don't know about anywhere else, but Woolworths anyway.
Yeah, some people hated it as well.
Yeah. So basically, wherever there was a Woolies, they basically the guy who owned it didn't just shut up shop and just leave everywhere around Britain or wherever it was. He apparently, wherever there used to be one, opened up in its place, opened up like a discount store, which sold really cheap stuff for really obviously stuff for cheap. So pretty much apparently I found out that the guy who owns actually Woolworths has actually come back, but it's an online store, and there's been rumours. Yeah, there's been rumours for the past couple of years that it could be coming back to the high street as an actual physical store.
I've also heard rumours that Toys R Us. Have you heard these rumours that Toys R Us might suddenly be coming back?
Yeah, I've heard the same rumours. Not a lot of people, especially the people who used to work for them, are pretty pissed off about it.
Yeah, but they are.
Yeah.
But yeah, apparently
they won't give you their jobs back, will they? Those old employees.
But apparently, it might be coming back, and apparently those shops that used to be discount shops, the guy who owned Woolworths kind of rented it out to these people. So essentially, they were paying rent to this guy. So he didn't completely go bust. He actually ended up getting money off these shops that are actually still under his name. He still owned the premises, but he pretty much just rented them out to these other businesses, kind of as a temporary business. So apparently, I mean, the one in Hull's closed. What used to be Woolworths, there was a massive discount store now, but that closed months ago. So I've got a feeling are they prepping? Is something else going to go in there soon, or are they possibly thinking of coming back to Hull? Because that's what
I was thinking. So. Back here, where our Woolworths was, it's been a new look for about 8 years now.
Well, we'll see how it goes. I mean, it might just be one of the speculated things that kind of went viral and it was no truth to it. But it's a shame because I used to love Woolworths. They had
I did.
They had every major toy line. They had everything you ever wanted. They sold all the Disney toys. They sold. I think actually for Woolworths. Does anyone remember? Obviously, you all probably know about the film called A Bug's Life.
Yes.
I think no, actually, yeah, it was either from Woolworths or it was from the Disney store because we had a Disney store in Hull as well, but that's long gone. I can't remember if I bought it from their Disney store, if I bought it from Woolworths, I bought it from either one. But I bought. I think I did. I got treated to it, and it was. What was the grasshopper? What was the main grasshopper's name? Hopper. Yeah. So pretty much, I got Hopper, and it was a room guard. So it was like I had like a motion detection thing on it, and I had it like next to me. Sorry?
He used to talk. He used to say lines from the film. Yeah, my sister had as well. My little sister had one of those because she loved it. That was actually A Bug's Life was the first film we took my little sister to see at the cinema. She was about, what was it? Was it 1999? No, or 1998 or two. Was it?
Yeah,
A Bug's Life. It came out in 1999, didn't it? I think. Was it 4 years after Toy Story?
Yeah, it was late nineties that came out.
Oh, yeah, 1998, I think it was.
Yeah, it might have been.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I think because I remember my sister was born in my sister was born in 96. I think she was like 3 or something when we first, and that A Bug's Life was the first film we took my little sister to see. I remember I really enjoyed it.
Oh, I love it.
I sort of think I came across something the other day.
We finally got an incredible sequel.
You know,
Bug's Life needs a sequel. It doesn't need one, but I would love to see a continuation of what happened afterwards with Flick and the circus lot. I want to see what happened after. I want to see what happens.
Well, yeah, some of the circus folks left the ant island with the grasshopper's brother decided to surrender after all the other grasshoppers were gone. He joined the circus, and I think some of the ants joined the circus as well. But we don't know what happened. And Heimlich supposedly became a butterfly, or rather just a fat caterpillar with a teeny weeny little butterfly wings.
You saw all that happen at the end of the credits, but like I said, I'd like to see what happens. I'd like to see if what happened after Hopper, whether the whole the cricket empire pretty much all crumbled, or if somebody else took over the mantle, or if they ended up having like a new enemy, like a whole different type of bug colony, kind of like I don't know. I mean,
Do you guys remember?
It's a film
around that time
for a long time. It's never had the same respect as like Toy Story and the rest of them.
No, but it should. I mean, what I think is, do you remember how at the first time, because DreamWorks was started by one of Disney's former lead animators.
Yeah.
And remember how Ants and A Bug's Life pretty much came out at the same time? And they're like, people were like saying, this is our direct kind of competition. And they've got two films that are very similar. But
I mean, the thing is that Ants is. I love Ants. I mean, Ants is. Yeah, okay. That they came out roughly about the same time. But Ants is massively different to A Bug's Life. For one, it's actually darker, way darker. You actually see.
DreamWorks tend to do that. DreamWorks have always done that. They've made it.
Yeah, I mean, you actually physically see ants being dissolved by these beetle things, and being literally ripped apart by these things, and and obviously Sylvester Stallone as well played the big guy, the big ant as well, I think.
Yeah.
But I love. I don't think I've got that on DVD actually. I'll have to see if I might have to pick it up sometime when I got cash.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. It's been a while since I've watched A Bug's Life, or I've watched Ants, but at the same time, again, just before Fight, and then just after Finding Nemo, DreamWorks did Shark Tale.
Yeah, Shark's Tale isn't too bad. It's probably not the best DreamWorks film for me. I think they started.
Shrek.
Well, they really came into their own with Shrek, but plus there was actually developing Shrek for a long time. There was actually apparently the first Shrek film was in development for about 10 years.
Yeah,
because they actually had apparently Shrek himself was based on an actual real life person that actually voiced him originally, and he died during the production of the film. Sorry?
Yep.
That's not me.
No, that was
Sam?
What?
No, that was my computer. So don't worry about it.
No, basically, apparently, I can't remember the guy's name, but it was a comedian, an American comedian, that voiced Shrek first originally, and he actually laid down some line vocals, but he actually died. Unfortunately, he died during the production of the film, so he never actually got to finish his lines. So they had to recast him, and that's how Mike Myers got the role after him. So yeah, apparently he was actually in development for about 10 years. So obviously they had to recast the main role, and they had to kind of like, obviously stuff they've already done, they might have to like re-edit, and maybe the script had to change. I don't know, but yeah, it took a long time for DreamWorks to bring out Shrek. I mean, it was. I mean, so yeah, so Shrek was probably, I think, the longest process of an animated movie, because I don't know, it's probably maybe one of them anyway. So I think Toy Story was in development for a lot longer before it came out as well.
Yeah, well, I know Disney had a working relationship with Pixar for years before Toy Story. So,
well, apparently Toy Story. Obviously, Toy Story was Pixar was only known for doing a collection of short little CGI little films.
Yeah,
that were no more than.
Yeah, I remember I got that on DVD, and originally there was a VHS. It's called Tiny Toy Stories with some of them on it.
That's it, yeah. So pretty much that is where Pixar were known for, and they used that as their portfolio to try and find a stable basis for them to produce feature-length films. So they were planning to make Toy Story. So they went to Disney. They pitched it to Disney. They said, right, we want to make a fully CGI movie. It's called Toy Story. Here's some of the character art. Here's some of the concept art and things like that, the script, what we're thinking about. And Disney just said, no, we're not interested. So they went ahead and they made Toy Story on their own with no Disney in there, fully did it themselves. And it is one of the best animated movies of all time. And it is the first fully CGI feature-length film in existence as well. So it was
even at the opening of Disney's logo is still used on Toy Story, and it's still marketed. It's still marketed as a Disney film. So.
Yeah, well, basically what happened. Typical Disney. The film come out, and basically the film comes out for the media, obviously, first. So you get like advanced screenings for like the media. So the media see it, and that's where you get your reviews and things like that for the film. And it got across the board brilliant. Disney then heard about this and thought, these are the guys that come to us to pitch this. We need in on this. So Disney then said, okay, we will partner with you now because this looks lucrative. So pretty much that's why I think Disney had the distribution rights to the first one. But then later on, they were literally filming like there was Toy Story 2 and all the other Pixar films that they've done.
Disney had absolutely nothing to do with Toy Story.
No, they didn't have anything to do with Toy Story 1. They had the sequels.
Nope, they had nothing to do with them. They didn't actually get involved with Pixar until 2006.
Really? I thought it was soon after the first film.
Nope, they didn't get involved. Yeah, they didn't get involved until 2006. And by the time Disney got involved with Pixar, Toy Story 3 was already in development. They literally had nothing to do with Toy Story franchise. They had nothing to do with it.
Oh, that's interesting.
But how come marketing through Disney then? Because it is still their logo and still in it, and it's like they must have done the.
It was all added later for the DVD.
I mean, apart from Toy Story 3, because by the time Toy Story 3 came out in 2010, Disney were involved with Pixar. But Toy Story 1 and Toy Story 2, they had zero involvement. And they had very minimal involvement in 3. Because when they got involved with Pixar, when they kind of stepped in and pretty much bought them, Toy Story 3 was already in development. So they didn't have a lot of say in it. So realistically, Disney had nothing to do with Toy Story. Toy Story 4, which is coming out next year, which is confirmed, by the way, That will be the first and only Toy Story film to have any Disney input.
Yeah, and then Disney went ahead and made their own CGI department.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then they brought out the shitstorm that is Frozen. And then after that, they've done really good after that.
Well, to be honest, I say Tangled was Tangled. I think. Well, no, the first they did Wreck-It Ralph. Was it Wreck-It Ralph, then Tangled, then Frozen?
No, Frozen came out first, which was the first. I think their first in-house.
No, Tangled definitely came out first.
Oh, okay. I mean, Tangled and Frozen, and no, I think was it Wreck-It Ralph or was it no Wreck-It Ralph's Pixar, isn't it?
No. Big Hero 6 is Pixar. No. Big Hero 6 isn't. Big Hero 6 was the one was the standalone Disney one after Frozen.
To Google, that will tell us.
So what is it that what was it about Frozen then, John, that you really didn't like about it? I mean, I get that it became a craze for kids and that they made money off of it for years. They've made crazy money off of it since it came out. What is it that you really didn't like about it to say it's so bad? It's just the
Everything,
songs or
everything. I just don't like it. It's such considering it's a Disney produced film. The reason why it sucked, guess why? The reason why it wasn't as good, guess why? There's one person that was not involved. There was one person that was not involved in Frozen. I don't know if his name's credited, but he actually had no creative input in that film at all. And what person when he's been involved in a film, each one has been a masterpiece. Guess who that guy is? Sorry?
Walt Disney.
No, he died way before these films.
Was it Don? What's his name? Or
Nope.
his name?
Who was a part of who was actually part of the Pixar team? Who was it that actually pitched? Who was the guy that pitched Toy Story and directed Toy Story?
Steve Jobs.
No.
Sorry, Steve Jobs was one of the founders of Pixar. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah. No, who was the guy who directed and produced it? Well, one of them anyway. Any guesses? You're gonna kick yourself in the head, Sam, because you know who this guy is.
It was
without looking, without cheating. Typical Sam to cheat. Yeah, John Lasseter.
That's Sam. What did you like Frozen?
I wouldn't say I hated it, but I will freely admit that the only reason that film was successful was because of one song. You take that song out of it, the film hasn't got anything.
It sucks. Well, look, okay, right. I get why it's popular because it's aimed at little girls, and it was mainly little girls that went to see the damn thing anyway. But okay, I mean, a lot of people like Olaf, the snowman guy. I don't mind Olaf. Olaf's quite cute, fine. But and the song, yeah, it was okay, but it got really, really annoying.
And everyone was parodies all over the internet.
Because
all over the radio.
Yeah, because when it got to the point where it was so driven into your subconscious, that song, you pretty much, I remember sitting at my till at work, and the film had come out. I was looking, I was scanning some stuff, and a pack of frozen peas went through my till, and as soon as I saw those frozen peas, I heard "Let It Go" through my head. I was like, "Fuck's sake!" But yeah, it's just look. Okay, I'll give you an honest opinion now to your question. Okay, all jokes aside, for me, I think it's one of the worst films they've done. That's my honest opinion. It's certainly one of the worst animated films Disney's produced, CGI wise, anyway. It's just flat. It just doesn't seem to have any identity per se. It doesn't seem to have that magic that Disney are known for. That factor. It doesn't seem to have that factor behind the film for me. And like I just said, tried to point out there before Sam actually cheated, John Lasseter was not involved with Frozen, even though it wasn't a Pixar film, it was a Disney-produced film. But the reason why the films after Frozen did good is because they actually got John Lasseter to move from Pixar to Disney, and now he works for Disney. And that is why Big Hero 6, Wreck-It Ralph, and all the films after Frozen have done much, much better because he is a genius. He is the guy that pretty much, with Steve Jobs and a few other people, and obviously all the artists and everything, put together one of the best animated movies of all time, which is Toy Story. And he is a master storyteller. And every film he's been a part of is literally brilliant. You know what I mean? He is literally incredible. And he wasn't involved. He actually was still working for Pixar when Frozen was in production. And then after that, Disney kind of said, okay, yeah, obviously Disney got a lot of money from Frozen because of merchandising and obviously the soundtrack, and the film itself did really well domestically and also at the box office. So it was a success in that way, but they knew themselves it wasn't a brilliant story. They knew there was something missing, and that missing link was John Lasseter.
Well, they did say originally that they planned to make it a little darker, have it be closer to the story of the movie, as that's what it's supposed to be based off of. Like Elsa was meant to originally be a villain, you know.
Well, it's just it's Disney's spin on the whole Snow. Is it Snow Princess or
Snow Queen?
Snow Queen, yeah. It's their spin on Snow Queen. The Snow Queen. But, you know, I mean, okay, the song's good. The woman who sings the song and also voices Elsa, she did a brilliant job. She literally deserves the awards she won for that, and she deserves the fame for it because she single-handedly carried that film forward. I won't say single-handedly, but she was one of the main reasons why the film did well in the first place.
What about the Demi Lovato?
She also, yeah, they actually did 3 official versions through different artists. If you look, there's actually three English versions, official versions. There's the movie one, the official one that's in the film, and then they did the music video version of the same woman from the film. So they made that official, and then Demi Lovato did essentially a cover of it, and that was actually also featured on the soundtrack. An alternate version. Yeah. I think, and then obviously, have you heard? Basically, I think there
was a metal version.
Oh yeah, there's a metal version, but we're not going to talk about that because why? But yeah, basically, I don't know if you've heard it, Lawrence. Whenever you've got chance to, go on YouTube and look up Let It Go, the Japanese version. The Japanese version, even though you don't know what the hell she's saying, because she's in Japanese, but it's way, way better. It's so much more catchier. The Japanese one is brilliant. It absolutely is brilliant. Don't get me wrong, the English one's good, but she was just brilliant. But yeah, for me, I'm just going to come to an end now with this because I don't know where I'm going with it. my head's kind of like up there somewhere.
I mean, what they, you know, they obviously had Tangled had a really good soundtrack and a good story. It's a really good take on the story of Rapunzel, and you know, it is still very kid friendly. Disney film, I think. And then with Moana, I had very good songs, had a very good storyline, and
that was amazing.
Yeah, Moana,
brilliant film.
I mean, I like Rapunzel. I like Rapunzel. I need to check out the Disney XD series for that, because they actually did a continuation in series form, like they did for Big Hero 6. So instead of making a sequel,
I didn't know much about.
Sorry,
I mean, the only memories I have prior to Tangled, knowing a lot about Rapunzel, is my sister used to watch the Blinking Barbie version as a kid. She loved the Blinking Barbie film, you know, Barbie as Rapunzel, which was a guilty thing for me, having to sit through it every time she wanted to put it on. But
well, no, I mean, but what I mean is that Tangled is essentially Rapunzel. You know, it's the whole story of the golden locks from the tower. But what they've done is that they've kind of reimagined it as like an adventure thing. And personally, I mean, I've never been a fan of the original Rapunzel stuff because it is much more heavily centered for girls. But I thought Tangled. When I saw the trailer to Tangled when it first was coming out, and I saw the trailer and I thought, nah, it's Rapunzel. Not a big fan of it. And then I thought, you know what? On a whim, there's nothing else really out, and I went to go and see it. I can't remember if I went to see it with Sam or if I went to see it on my own. I can't remember. But I went to cinema to see it, and I was actually surprised by it. I thought it was actually quite a good retelling, you know, like a retelling of a classic story, and it had good humor. The stepmother or the woman that kind of kept her in the tower, she was a good villain. They actually made her out to be. Sorry?
Her name was Gothel.
Yeah, Gothel.
Yeah,
I mean, I thought she was I thought that was a good villain.
Yeah.
I just thought.
What do you guys think? I just want to ask, what do you guys think about this new How the Grinch Stole Christmas film that's coming?
I probably might go and see it, but you can't beat Jim Carrey.
No, you can't.
Yeah.
You can't beat Jim Carrey.
Well, I still love to watch the original cartoon show. But yeah, I remember my sister used to love the Jim Carrey film as well.
Oh yeah,
I remember going to see it.
And you can't beat the really old. You can't beat the cartoon as well. The animated
I love that.
You're a me one, Mr. Grinch.
Yeah.
And also, I'll be watching again, and I'm pretty damn sure I've got it on DVD now. I'll have to find it. I think it's downstairs. The Muppets Christmas Carol.
Yes. Yeah, I've got it. The only thing is, though, with the only thing is with the re-release version from several years ago, they actually cut out a music number from the theatrical release. It was on the original video version.
Oh, really?
It's the song that Belle sings in the scene where Belle leaves Scrooge. I think the song's called "When Love Is Gone." They cut that musical out from the DVD version. I want to find the Blu-ray version. I want to find the Blu-ray of that. I know it's available. Yeah, I think Muppet Christmas Carols. I think I've got nearly every version of A Christmas Carol. I mean, yeah, what I love just about the month December genuinely is watching the Christmas specials.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I'm not a big fan of the Scrooge story. You know, I'm not a big fan of it because it's just one of those things. I know it's based on a Charles Dickens thing and all that, but I'm not a big fan of the classic, the classic book, and not a big fan of the whole original films and that. But for me, it's the Muppets with Michael.
Yeah.
You know, Michael Caine as Scrooge, the most genius decision ever made in cinema and film, in my opinion. And the Muppets play the characters with humans alongside them. It is such a clever film. It's beautifully made. Everything's practical. And I have a lot of respect for practical effect films, especially the Muppet. Well, to be honest, the Muppet films have gone really downhill in recent years, but that was, I think, for me.
That bloody the Muppets Wizard of Oz was terrible.
I never saw that.
I thought
I'm not a big fan of Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, for me, it was one I remember well. And I never really saw the original Muppet movie, but for me, it was the Muppet Christmas Carol and Muppet Treasure Island.
You know
I
what?
had both of them as a kid.
The Muppets Treasure Island, I need to check out. I have seen it, but I was really young, and I haven't seen it for a long time. I need to get it on DVD. I haven't actually watched it in a long time. That one, but I want to get the Muppets in Manhattan, which is a brilliant film. Which is
I remember Muppets from Space. I did like Muppets from Space. That one as well.
Yeah, the Muppets in Manhattan. I need to get that because that's. I think that came out in the 80s or early 90s. So quite an oldish one. I mean, that's one of the originals.
I don't remember.
Jim Henson actually worked on.
Yeah. In terms of actual Christmas specials, I don't know. You might remember these 3 video releases that came out one year. It was like there was Rudolph the movie. There was an All Dogs Christmas Carol, and then another one called Annabelle's Wish. About. I was trying to record a review for the one called Annabelle's Wish last year because I found it on DVD and I remember watching it on TV as a kid. And I wanted to review it, but I was having technical difficulties. Do you remember any of those 3?
I remember the All Dogs.
My sister had. Yeah, my sister had Rudolph the movie.
I mean, I love All Dogs. I love the All Dogs Go to Heaven films. Are brilliant. Also,
I think what?
I don't know if you remember Lawrence, because obviously you're roughly about the same age as us, so you would have most likely remember it. I remember for the first time seeing it on. I remember seeing it for the first time on Boomerang, on Sky, on Boomerang, right?
Yeah.
And it was a Christmas special thing. Well, it wasn't a Christmas special. It was a actual Christmas film, animated film, and it was put up on Boomerang, I think, at Christmas one year. And I remember watching it, and it was called "Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer."
Oh, I've heard of it. I've not actually seen it, but definitely I have heard of it. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I remember watching it. I thought, what the hell? And I just watched it out of curiosity. Like, what a weird title. And it was actually really good, actually. I quite liked it. But yeah, apparently the grandma got run over by a reindeer, and I think she dies or almost gets killed.
Yeah, I'm trying to think.
Quite ludicrous. But
there was one Christmas film I watched last year for the first time. I'd heard about it because it came all the way back in 2003. I was told about it by a friend, and I picked myself up a copy from That's Entertainment before we actually lost that. It was that, you know, the Elf.
Yeah.
First time I saw Elf.
Oh, Elf, yeah. It's not bad, Elf. I mean, yeah. I mean, to be honest, I'm not really a big fan of Christmas movies. I've never really have liked the Christmas film thing, but I do love. I like Miracle on 34th Street. I like the original.
Well, the original one.
I like both. Because the remake has Richard Attenborough playing Santa role, or whatever. So, but yeah, I mean, I like the original, the black and white, Even I'm
About
not
Home Alone.
Oh yes.
Gotta love Home
No.
Alone.
Well, I like the first two, and after two for me, I don't. I used to have the third one on VHS when I was younger, but a different actor entirely. It was okay, but it just felt like they were basically just felt like they were. It just felt like the first one, just with different actors playing the bad guys and the main character.
They have since been two straight to video sequels. There was Home Alone 4, which you can now actually buy as part of the box set, which is a load of crap, which is a straight to DVD release. And then recently, I think there's been Home Alone 5 made for TV to watch online last year. Ugh.
Yeah, I've not watched any past three. I used to have the 1 to 3. The third one's okay.
It is,
but it's just you can't. It's not Home Alone without Kevin and his family. You know, because they are the family. You know, but obviously he got older.
It was 1997. The third one came out, a few years after the second one, but by then Macaulay Culkin could never have reprised the role because obviously he was too old. But I heard that one of the original script ideas was that he would actually come back and play Kevin as a grown-up, and then it would actually be one of his kids that gets left alone on his own. But then they decided to just rewrite the whole story about it, a new kid.
Yeah. Well, to be honest with you, I mean, I do like. There's a few Christmas films I don't mind. I like the one that Arnold Schwarzenegger was in, which is actually a Christmas film. Is it the last Action Hero? Is it?
No, it's not that one. I know the one you're talking about. I can't remember what it's called, but I remember
that is a little bit like a Christmas film because he has to get him the action guy figure for his kid, and it is actually centered around Christmas time.
It's not the last Action Hero.
No, but there is another one.
Well, but you remember the Disney film The Santa Claus about the kid whose dad becomes Santa?
Yeah,
like
Tim Allen. Tim Allen.
I'm trying to think what.
The first one's
okay.
The first one's okay, but then they ended up making 3 of them, and the third one was kind of like, what's the point? It was a really bad. The third one was horrible. The third one was really horrible. But the third one.
And the second one, but they said I think that was unnecessary. That film really didn't need a sequel. But the thing is now, Hollywood's just so cash in that they'll do it.
It didn't need a trilogy. You know why it happened, right? Because Tim Allen, at the time of that film, when that film was coming out, Tim Allen was really well known for Home Improvements and Toy Story as Buzz Lightyear. So he was really well known for 2 very popular shows in the 90s, hence why they made him Santa Claus in Santa Claus, or become Santa Claus, because he was actually a household name in the 90s, late 80s, early 90s. Because I used to watch Home Improvements as well when I was on Disney Channel. I used to quite enjoy that. But then it got cancelled after, I think, it went for 6 seasons, I think, total, and it got cancelled. No.
You alright?
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's interesting. But yeah, I mean, like I say, I mean, there's only so many like Christmassy films that I like. I mean, I don't like these really crappy. Yeah,
remember
that,
the Mike Frost? Remember the Michael Keaton film, Jack Frost?
Yeah.
But he dies and then comes back as a snowman.
Yeah, that's all right. Yeah. But for me, I think my all-time favorite Christmas film is The Muppets Christmas Carol, and I like The Miracle on 34th Street. It was actually my mum's favorite film as well, Christmas film, because obviously she would have grown up with the original one when she was little, the black and white one, and then obviously I grew because the remake came out when I was a kid, so I watched I mean, obviously, I've seen the original one a couple of times, and it is a good film. And pretty much the remake is pretty close to the original, anyways. And the performance,
very 90s.
Yeah,
and 90s.
Yeah, and the performance of Richard Attenborough's performance as Santa Claus, whatever, it was actually really, really good. Kris Kringle.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. What was it? Because I mean, there's other films at Christmas that you tend to watch or tend to be on TV that aren't normally centered around Christmas. I mean, obviously, the most popular film, the most traditional film to watch is It's a Wonderful Life. I quite like it.
Well, each to their own. I mean, people like Christmas movies, and people. I mean, like I say, I mean, I've never been a big fan of the whole Christmassy thing because I'm not a religious person, and a lot of them have a lot of religious sentiment to them because it's Christmas, and the whole thing with Jesus and church and all that stuff.
Yeah, I know.
I just
when you're kids though. Children just get excited because they think, oh, Santa's coming to give us presents again, and
exactly.
Kind of thing.
I mean, that's how I've always. Well, when I was a kid, obviously, every kid, unless you're from, unless you say like you're from a Jewish family, obviously they don't celebrate Christmas. They have Hanukkah, which is a completely separate thing. But yeah, and obviously I don't think the Muslims either do. I think they have a different holiday as well. But yeah, so pretty much everyone else except for those celebrate Christmas. So all those kids, like Christian and Catholic kids, would have grown up exactly the same as everyone else. Really excited, Santa's coming, and all that stuff, and the old Christmas films and the Christmas specials from like cartoon specials and things. I used to really enjoy the cartoon specials that they used to do, like the movies they'd put on and things like that over Christmas. I used to enjoy that. But I've just always been drawn to I'm more used to the remake of Miracle on 34th Street because I mean, it's Richard Attenborough, and plus, he was also in Jurassic Park as well as the doctor guy.
John Hammond.
And plus, Jurassic Park was one of my favourite films when I was a kid. So.
Yeah,
that came out in the 90s as well. Yeah, a lot of good stuff come out in the 90s. I missed the 90s.
Yeah, I do as well. I was thinking, I'm really glad I was a 90s kid. Really, genuinely, really happy. Well, a part of me wishes I was born in the late 70s, so like 79 instead of 89, because I would have grown up with Transformers and stuff like that. Yeah.
I'd have been old enough to play with G1 figures when they came out, but then I'd be old like Tony, almost 40. I'd so laugh if Tony was watching us, because we have got a viewer and I don't know who it is.
Could be Carl, could be Tony, or
might be Carl. But yeah, I mean, the thing is, the 90s was good because a lot of the stuff that came out in the 80s was re-aired in the 90s. So we got to see it.
Yeah, I'm really yeah, I think the best thing, one of the things I'm really thankful for, is that I was a '90s kid, because things were so much better in that decade than they are now. And I think, aside from the fact of going, aside from the fact of probably wanting to go to school, the '90s was a genuinely happy decade.
Yeah, well, to be honest, everything apart from school was great for me. I hated school for certain reasons, and I don't think Sam particularly wasn't. I don't think Sam particularly enjoyed school either. But yeah, I mean, for me, it was just as soon as I come home from school, I just remember sitting in front of the TV. Pokemon came on about 3:30 in the afternoon, 4 o'clock. And then I used to watch Fox Kids, Digimon, Power Rangers, Mighty Morphin, and all that stuff was on Fox Kids.
I still remember sort of 1995 to 1996. I remember getting up, at the crack of dawn, sort of 1995 to 1996, 1997 time to, I still remember getting up on a Saturday morning at the crack of dawn to get on down to GMTV Saturday.
Oh, yeah.
And they had that Saturday Disney thing. And then I don't know if do you remember the kids entertainer called Dave Benson Phillips? He did a show called The Wild Room. The big Dave Benson Phillips. I think he still does bits of TV. He's done I've met him actually. He used to go to Butlins and do shows. But there used to be this show called there used to be this show called The Wild Room. Yeah, that he used to host, and before that they had Saturday Disney, where they'd have a lineup of cartoons, and then they'd have kids on the show in the studio, be getting gunged and all that, and then of course you'd have your Power Rangers, and in the middle of the Power Rangers you'd have Mr. Motivator, because they used to do what was the power hour, the power hour, where they'd have one Power Rangers, then they'd have Mr. Motivator, and then they'd do the second episode of Power Rangers.
Yeah. I remember. Well, me and Sam used to watch GMTV. I think they did it early. I think they did a kids thing during the week as well, didn't they? GMTV.
Yeah.
Because I remember.
Well, they did, but
I think it was about 6 or 7 in the morning. They put on kids stuff on GMTV. Then they had the whole news block and all that crap. I absolutely hated GMTV itself, but I loved the kid block because it had Beetleborgs on it originally, Power Rangers, Mighty Morphin, Beast Wars, Reboot.
Yeah, Veil Creepers, Mask Rider, all those were part of that.
And then obviously Fox Kids, I think Fox Kids started to wear all the stuff after that, because I do remember seeing, I think might have been second season of Mighty Morphin was on Fox Kids. But I do remember watching Mighty Morphin on Fox Kids as well as originally on GMTV.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, we didn't have Sky till about 1998, I think it was. And at the time I got Sky and had Fox Kids because I was desperate for it, Power Rangers in Space was still airing because that was the current season then.
I can't remember when we got Sky originally. It was certainly the early 90s, more earlier 90s, because I remember watching Pokemon on Cartoon Network when it first aired, and when it first actually aired the anime, the Indigo League series. And then before that came out, a year before, Digimon aired on Fox Kids. Because Digimon actually aired in the UK a good year before Digimon. And then I thought, is Digimon finished? Because I was really hoping they'd make a second season. And obviously, back then there was no Google search or anything, so you had to literally wait for stuff to get things to get advertised, what's coming next. So I relied mainly on trailers and advertisements, in between shows and things.
Yeah.
And then
I was thinking we were in America.
Yeah.
we were in America in October, November 1999 time, and we were there for 2 weeks. And Power Rangers in Space was still on. That's when we first saw the first toys for Power Rangers Lost Galaxy. And I thought, oh, when's that coming up? And but I remember just before my 10th birthday, before Lost Galaxy aired in the UK on Fox Kids, the first 3 episodes were released on video as a video special prior to the series airing, and I got that for my 10th birthday. And then I think it was about a couple of months later it started airing on Fox Kids.
Yeah.
But then again, back then though, Power Rangers was definitely overshadowed by Pokemon. And I think Saban at the time they were putting more effort into promoting the dubbed version of Digimon than promoting Power Rangers.
Yeah. No, I don't know. I mean, to be honest, personally, I don't know. I can't remember when it was. It must have been pretty early 90s because I remember a lot of stuff like coming on. I remember Boomerang starting for the first time. Because obviously originally it was the Cartoon Network launched Boomerang, and it had all the old cartoons like Captain Caveman, Scooby-Doo, Flintstones, the Jetsons, Top Cat, all the original Hanna-Barbera stuff. Sorry?
Oh no, Woody Woodpecker was on Fox Kids, I remember.
Yeah, Woody Woodpecker, the 90s series or 80s. Yeah, I used to watch that. But then Boomerang Boomerang kind of also had the original Tom and Jerry from like the 30s or 40s. And then Looney Tunes as well, the original Looney Tunes. I absolutely loved Boomerang when I was a kid. I think Boomerang was my favourite channel out of all the channels because I just got captivated by the Hanna-Barbera stuff because I just loved it. I mean, pretty much Hong Kong Phooey as well. The guy who played Jazz played Hong Kong Phooey.
Yeah, the whole anime thing. I know. Dragon Ball Z was on Cartoon Network, whilst
Toonami.
Yeah, and then I think what was it? Sailor Moon originally was from 1995, I think, but that came back to Fox Kids in 1999. The other animes Fox Kids had.
I remember watching. I remember watching Sailor Moon on Nickelodeon.
Yeah, and there was what was it? Monster Rancher.
Yeah. Shaman King.
Remember that? Yeah, Shaman King.
That was on Jetix.
Yeah.
Because
Dinosaur King.
And I never was a fan of that, even though it was the original. Even though it was Veronica Taylor that played the main character, because the original voice of Ash Ketchum in Pokemon. And also the original voice of Jessie as well played the female
Rachel Lilly's. Yeah, because I think Rachel Lilly she did Jessie and Misty in Pokemon, the original, and it was Eric. Yeah, and I think I remember reading that. Yeah, and it was Eric Stewart was the actor who did James and Brock.
Yep. And Eric Stewart also played Seto Kaiba in Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah.
And I missed. Oh God, I can't believe I missed it. They had a Comic Con, or was it Digicon, Sam? Was it we went to Digicon, which was one of the first ones they did.
Yeah, it was Digicon.
Yeah, it was a Digicon in Doncaster, and they had the guy who played Yugi and the guy who played Seto Kaiba at the same event, and they were going to do a special anniversary panel with about 3 or 4 of the actual voice actors from Yu-Gi-Oh! And I was just like, oh, I mean, Yu-Gi-Oh was a big show. That was on Nickelodeon as well.
Yeah.
Thing is, though, it's
I'm trying
kind
to
of
think. It wasn't until
it's kind
it
of
wasn't
weird.
until the early 2000s, was it? No, because I remember I was in secondary school by then,
Yeah,
and everyone was I was a couple of years in secondary school by the time.
it was late 90s, early thousands. I think it was 2000. I think it was 2000 Yu-Gi-Oh came out. Because it's about 20 something years since Yu-Gi-Oh first started, or the anime started. What else did I watch? Oh, Medabots. That was on.
Yeah.
Jetix.
Oh yes. Yeah.
I remember. I even remember the trailer weirdly, because you know when they actually announced or advertised a new show coming, they're like, I can't remember what I was watching at the time, but it came on afterwards, like coming soon to Jetix. Medabots. I was like, what's this? And I remember it word for word. Like, it was, do you remember the first episode where the shopkeep tries to sell him Medaby, but they kind of laugh in his face, saying he's like an out-of-date model? Yeah. And it's just like, if you want speed, firepower, then you need this one. If you that kind of thing.
Yes,
I remember the actual trailer. I absolutely love.
Yeah, I remember because they coming up next is this program, blah blah blah. And there'd always be a clip, wouldn't there, of some of the of the actual show. Because I think Medabots came out around the same time as Digimon Tamers.
Yes, it did. I think so.
I remember. Obviously, one thing I do. Yeah, and then I think that obviously the key. Keep going.
I think Medabots, Shaman King, and that one you were talking about, I think they all came out roughly at the same time as each other.
So I remember, I'm just wondering, obviously the kid-friendly version of Shin-Chan was another one.
Oh, yeah. I loved that.
I've actually been watching some episodes of the more adult version.
I honestly didn't realise, honestly, right, I used to watch Shin-Chan, obviously, on Jetix, and I honestly didn't realise it was actually an adult cartoon, essentially. Obviously, because it was a censored version. And then I watched I just watched a random episode on YouTube, because they had a few episodes on YouTube, and I was like, I just watch it. I haven't seen Shin-Chan in a long time. And I just watched the first episode, and I was like, did they just touch that girl's backside? Wait a minute. What's going on? There's swearing in this episode. I don't remember that. And everything. And I was just like, I need to watch this version because I'm an asshole. I like stuff that's funny like this. You know?
What I liked about Shin-Chan was I didn't really know what anime was at the time. I just seemed to remember these. I just seem to remember that these specific cartoons that were in this very specific animation style, but then again there are very different styles of anime. Like Shin-Chan was like was a certain type of anime, but you could still tell it was that animation style. What I liked about Shin-Chan was that it was like it had like toilet humor in it, and certain things in it that adults could relate to. But obviously, when I realised that it was a censored version of an adult anime, that made sense.
Yeah. That's that. I mean, well, when you're a kid, you don't really think about who played this character, who played that character. When you're a kid, you pretty much kind of what can I put it? You pretty much kind of enter that world, and your imagination takes you when you're watching it. That's kind of what happens when you're a kid. It's your imagination takes over, and you get really engrossed in it. You don't really think about who played the character or where did this animation get made. Is it from Japan? Is it an American? Is this? Personally, when I was a kid, I kind of was like, obviously I used to watch like Justice League, which was on Cartoon Network, just the Justice League series, and Batman Beyond, and all that stuff as well. And And I used to think, well, obviously, compared to that, and then going to say Dragon Ball Z and other shows like Pokemon and Digimon and stuff like that, I thought these are very interesting and quite different animation styles. But I didn't realize one was American and one was Japanese. And as I got older, and obviously we got started to get like Google and everything, they then started to find out, you know, I know Google kind of started to become an actual proper thing. I kind of started to like look up kind of things like Pokemon and things like that, you know, kind of reminiscing and being nostalgic and that. And then I found out about stuff like, oh, this was Japanese. I didn't realize that, and you know, and stuff like that. So it's kind of interesting.
I probably learned about manga through a college assignment I did when I studied media, because we did an assignment on comics.
Yeah.
And I got a book out from the library. We'd not long had the internet, but I was reading a book about manga, and I said, "Oh yes," I said to my mum, "This is that style about of Pokemon. And it's from Japan." Trying to think what. So this is the same things. Lots of older Power Rangers fans who do reviews on it now said, you know, as a kid they could never have guessed when they saw the footage that it was actually edited in Japanese footage for the fight scenes. They said, oh, it could just easily pass well for an American-made show.
Well, yeah, well, that's it. I mean, like I said, kids don't think about things like that. Like I said, kids get engrossed in what's going on. I mean, whenever you find, oh, I'm getting feedback on myself somehow. By the way, whenever you watch a show and it draws you in, it draws you in, and you kind of like, oh, I really like this, and then you go along for the ride. You get engrossed. You like whatever. Whatever show when you was a kid, and it engrossed you, and it took you, and you kind of. I mean, I remember when I was a kid, I used to pretty much pretend I was the Red Ranger from Mighty Morphin, and I used to do wrestling moves and all sorts in my living room. And that's what kids do. You pretty much embody that character,
I had the Red Ranger playsuit, and actually on the chest plate, it did actually say Jason on it. I've got a photo of me wearing it for Christmas 1995. I've got a photo. It's on my Facebook, actually.
I never. One thing when I was a kid, I never really dressed up. Like nowadays, you notice a lot of little kids dress up as like the favorite characters, and I never did that. I think it was because I wasn't very confident as a kid. I was getting bullied and everything, so I kind of was a bit subdued in that kind of way. So I didn't really want to do that in case I got bullied again, So I think for me, I kept a lot of the stuff I was watching secret, and Sam was the only person at school that knew what I was watching because he was watching the same stuff, pretty much. Except for some of the stuff that was on Sky, because Sam didn't have Sky. He watched the stuff that was going on like CITV or BBC One and things like that. But
the thing was though, one I kind of took over all the good cartoons and kids shows were hardly ever aired on normal television. That's why I started. I started watching Who Wants to Be a Millionaire with my mum.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I mean, only certain shows actually went up on terrestrial telly at the time. Like CITV, when CITV first become an actual thing. After GMTV kind of finished and CITV pretty much took over the slot anyway, they aired Power Rangers. I think it was Power Rangers. Dexter's Lab, I think, was on terrestrial telly.
I used to love Laboratory.
Even
I used to watch that on Cartoon Network.
Yeah, well, I used to watch it on Cartoon Network because I had Sky, but I think Pokemon was on terrestrial telly, and it still is. I think the newer stuff, XY and XYZ, I think that's currently playing on kids Saturday morning. But yeah, I mean, there was a few things that I used to watch as there were some things that wasn't on Sky that was like 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 CBBC, BBC Kids stuff.
I'm trying to think that a lot of the UK shows. Yeah, like the things that used to be on after school, which were mainly during the week. It's mainly the British shows that were on. Like ones I loved, like you had the Demon Headmaster. I remember I loved the Demon Headmaster. Do you remember? And then you had Bernard's Watch, about the kid who had the watch that you could stop time. I love that one.
Yeah. Grange Hill.
Queen's Nose and
Do you remember Grange Hill and Biker Grove?
I think so. Yeah. I'm trying to think. So one that I mainly remember was the Demon Headmaster and Bernard's Watch. Those were my favourite ones.
Because I remember the latter end during the 90s of Biker Grove and Grange Hill. I used to prefer Grange Hill, I think. I think the series I watched was when Ant and Dec got famous originally. I think I think Ant and Dec was in Grange Hill when they were young kids, and then they
used to be called PJ and Duncan, didn't
they? Yeah, PJ and Duncan. Yeah, that was their actual character names in it. And then when they got older, they obviously Ant and Dec. And they actually had a music career as well that branched off of Grange Hill. Yeah, because PJ and Duncan are actually the most popular characters at Grange Hill when I was a kid. But I don't really remember much of it, really. I remember watching it. I don't remember what happened that much.
No.
I think I missed a lot of it. I didn't watch everything. I think I watched so much of it. But do you remember Bodger and Badger?
Yeah, and the Chuckle Brothers.
Yeah, I used to watch
Bodger. Yeah. Oh yeah, Bodger and Badger and the mashed potato.
Bodger and Badger. I didn't actually realise that Bodger and Badger actually came out in the 80s originally. Yeah. And then the version I was watching was actually a remake. They brought it back after something like 20 years or something. They brought it back. I didn't realise, but apparently Bodger and Badger started back in the 70s, 80s.
And we recently lost one of the Chuckle Brothers.
Yeah, obviously, when I was a kid, I used to watch Chucklevision, but I didn't realise the Chuckle Brothers went back to way back into the 60s and 70s. I didn't realise that. I didn't realise it went that far back. Because obviously, when you're a kid, you only remember what you watched as a kid. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true.
And plus, you didn't have the database. You didn't have the resources we have now. Where, like in the 90s, I think we got our first computer in '98. It came with Windows 98. Yeah, it would have been Windows 98 because I remember the 98 boot screen. Yeah, so it would have been about 98 when we got our first computer, and I think we got dial-up connection internet, and I don't know if it was either the same year or if it was about a year or so later we got proper dial-up internet, so we could actually go online and go basic Google search and stuff. Yeah, the wind's getting up again.
How the internet has changed.
Yeah. It started off in a little square search engine box that you could only check up. The only thing you could look at was mainly images and news, and it branched off from that to proper search engines and the dark web and all the sinister stuff.
Dark web's always been right.
True.
All that is effectively the 90s, isn't it? Dark web is just what's left.
True. And then when I was at school, when we got to secondary school, all the porn videos that was going around on kids' phones. I used to have a couple of them. It used to be a bit of a thing at my school. I think I had a couple of like. Well, I think when you could. I think when kind of whole downloading things from the internet and put it onto your phone and everything was kind of like really starting to kick off for kids and that. And I used to have like naked women on my phone and things like that. And then a few kids kind of like a few kids like actually had proper like porn clips and they were sending them to the mates and everything. But they didn't realize at the time it was actually massively illegal.
And another thing about when the phones, whole thing with the camera, well, the whole thing on the internet, the phones and stuff. Basically, I remember when they used to be like fights at school, people used to watch it, but then the natural reaction suddenly everyone got out their phones and started filming it, and that's when the whole cyberbullying thing kind of came into existence.
You know what? I'm kind of glad I'm not a kid now. That's at school, like just going up to secondary school, because I think, there was a little bit of pressure put on us when we was a kid, mainly with the whole SATs thing, GCSEs and stuff like that. But I personally think now it's worse for kids because
it is.
A lot of adults now, a lot of adults or people in education think kids should be in education from the age of about 3 or 4. Instead of 5 or 6, which is when you go to primary.
We would have started. Well, I definitely started school just before I turned. I was 4, not long before I turned 5.
I think I would have been. I think well, you don't go to school. You go to nursery or day.
But then you had the first year of primary school was then called reception, which you'd have reception before year 1. I was 4 when I started there at school.
Yeah. Well, I think I would have. I must have been about the same age, 4 or 5, when I went to actually primary school. I mean, we used to go to like nursery, obviously, because the nursery I would have been probably about 3 or 4 in nursery.
I still have memories from my nursery years.
I have really vivid memories. I remember the sandbox. Because that's what I always used to play in the sandbox. And I kind of remember the layout of this little school thing where we was. And I remember they used to have, I don't know if I hadn't seen them recently. They used to be really popular. Do you remember those little red and yellow little buggy car things that kids could sit in and they're kind of like moved by kind of like
the
moving your legs.
Cars.
Yeah,
the red and yellow cars.
Yeah, little buggy car things, and you kind of kids sit in them, and you kind of turn the steering wheel, but you kind of like move with your feet, a bit like Fred Flintstone thing.
That's the sort of thing they had at my nursery.
Yeah, we used to have those, and we also had like pedal powered little go kart things as well. I think.
Same here. We had.
Yeah,
and
then we went to primary
school.
And that's where everything went to shit.
Yeah, but I think during that first year, like the only things they had on the school program, they had like sort of a jumble gym kind of thing, which obviously was apparatus. But they didn't have any of the things that they would have at nursery. I mean, but by the time I finished year 2. I still hadn't been diagnosed with being on the spectrum until I was 12. So my teacher, she didn't know what she was saying to my mum and dad. We don't know what to do with this kid. He's completely.
Yeah, all right, Lawrence.
What?
You all right, mate?
Yeah, you?
Yeah, good.
Yeah, I've not been too bad. Just trying to, sort of find ways to, more ways to occupy myself. I'm looking into various opportunities.
Yeah. No, that's all you can do, just preoccupy yourself.
All right, well, I'm going to head off.
Are you working? Well, it's today now, isn't it? Are you,
yeah. Well, yeah, I got work.
Got to be up in the morning? Or?
Well, yeah, I've always got to be up in the morning, mate.
Only because Sam was about to fall asleep on camera, so in favour.
Just seeing refer a friend thing won't work.
Okay.
I just looked into it. It will work, but it won't work in the current situation because it's only for full-time stuff. So the only thing we've got at the moment is Christmas temp, and it don't work for Christmas temp. It can only work for full-time stuff. So I can't put you forward for it. At least not yet.
No worries. Don't worry about it. I mean, like I said, just gonna keep looking and just apply for whatever I can at the moment. But yeah, it's one of those things. I just hope I can maybe. Well, to be honest, like I said, I'm not looking to maybe get a job this year. I mean, I'd think it'd be a miracle if I got a job in the next 2 months. I think it'd be a pretty good miracle if I could get a job before the end of the year, but I don't think it's going to happen. In all seriousness, I think because at the moment it is literally just all temporary Christmas temp vacancies, and yeah, I just kind of think once we get into January or after Christmas, a lot of those Christmas temps will either be released of contracts and they will be asking for full-time permanent staff afterwards. So I kind of think my chances of getting something might be better in New Year. So, but like you were saying about that convention, Sam, all I'm going to say is at the moment, everything next year is completely on hold, even TFN. My birthday plans at the moment, because I turn 30 next year, so I was originally thinking of doing Amsterdam in November, either weekend before my birthday, something like that, or weekend up, I don't know. But everything next year is kind of on hold, so I can't commit to anything. The only thing I can do in the meantime is kind of start. Once I start getting a little bit of cash flow in, and I can then kind of commit to it a bit more, I can start putting a little bit of money away, and maybe I can kind of maybe fund something next year. But at the moment, it's looking very unlikely until a job comes up. So I can't commit to anything just yet. But to be honest, Download Festival's looking really good next year as well. So I don't know whether to do a Download if I can afford to do it. Again, I'm not committing to it because Download next year has some pretty good bands already announced. So I might consider that in June, July time. But like I said, I'm not going to commit to anything until I can start getting some money put together. I mean, to be honest, that weekend away in Nottingham, I don't think that will take me long to get any money together. But let me know once details for next year start to emerge. And then let me know roughly how much it would cost for a weekend ticket. And then I'll kind of then we can all together find out how much it would be for 3 of us in a hotel for 3 or 4 days, how long we ever want to stay there for. And then we'd have to probably plan and then see how we're going to get there. Probably, coach or train or whatever.
Well, for me, Nottingham's not difficult at all because it's only 3 train stops after Leicester, from my hometown here in Harborough.
Well, it's not far from Leicester, but it's a good 2 or so hours from Hull, so it's not that far really. But like I say, in order to kind of get a good deal on either a train ticket or a coach ticket, we have to book in relatively good time before. I actually have my cousin's husband now, who lives down bottom of the street. He's a train driver, and he has said in the past he might be able to get me discount on train fare, but I don't know about other people if it just works just for me specifically or if it works for all of us. But he said that he could maybe get us discount on train fare if we ask him in good enough time. But again, like I said, everything is just speculation in regards to me at the moment. I'm not going to commit to anything until I've actually started getting a little bit of cash from Dole office, and then I can start to put a little bit away each month. And then hopefully I might be able to do at least one thing next year. I'm hoping I can do TFN, but I don't know. Plus, it also depends who's actually going as well. I don't always go for the guests, but guests are... Well, I do go for the guests because I do enjoy voice actors and things, but I go for the people, but I don't know if I'll be able to afford to see the people. That's the main thing. We'll see. If you let us know the details of that convention next year, Sam, once it all...
Well, yeah, it's probably not going to be till January, February they'll start dishing out information, so it's going to be another few months, mate. But I'll let you know as soon as I can.
Okay, well, let us know in good enough time, then I can start, get a bit of a head start on putting some money away, and we'll see how it goes. Like I said, I was originally planning before I lost my job. I was originally planning about 3 or 4 things for next year. Obviously, TFN, there's something else originally, and then I don't know. I was actually thinking about 2 or 3 things, maybe 4 things for next year, but that's obviously all gone to pot at the moment. But anyway, so yeah, I'll let you get going then, Sam. And I don't know what you want to do, Lawrence. If you want to stay on for longer, or if you want to go.
Yeah, I've got to be up relatively early in the morning to get myself to Leicester for around 10, half 10. So yeah, should we call it tonight? And I'll maybe we can get some, perhaps some other time during the week we can get back on.
Maybe see if Lizzie wants to come on again as well. See if Lizzie wants to pop on with us all at some point. But anyway, so yeah, well, thank you for watching, everybody. This has been a live chat with Lawrence and Sam. So thank you to everyone for watching. But until next time, we are saying goodbye for now. But anyway, so thanks for joining us, you two, and stay awesome. And
been good, lads. Been good.
Yeah. So Sam has to get his beauty sleep. Sam has to go and get his beauty sleep. You can see, look, you can see in that little square in the right hand of the screen.
And I must have a shower before I go to bed because I stink.
Way to go. We are live on YouTube. The world has just heard you say that. Well, anyway, so bid you farewell for now. Peace. See you all very soon.
All right. See you all later. Bye.